Hi, I want to talk a little bit about the difference between the choice that you will make between working exclusively by yourself or working in a group. And first, I need to say, just so that I can breathe here, I completely recorded this. And just as I was getting to the end of it, Zoom crashed and kicked me out. And I was like waiting for this to happen because the entire world is using Zoom now in this time of COVID. And it happened. So I'm going to start again and hope that I can be as fresh with the information as I was the first time. Well, I just want to talk about a lot of people work by themselves exclusively as opposed to learning in a workshop situation. And so I just want to share a personal experience about that. Is when I first started writing years and years ago, before the internet, there were no internet classes. I worked alone. I was an avid reader. I studied short fiction, which is what I was writing, and I worked alone. But I really didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't, and I'd send stuff out and it would be rejected and whatever. And I realized that I really wanted to take a class, but I was afraid. I was afraid of being in person with people. I was afraid that I would be the dumbest one in the group. I was afraid that I would be humiliated, that my work would be awful. And so I didn't seek out a group, which at that point were mostly probably college classes, which is fine. I mean, I had a bachelor's degree. I wasn't afraid of college per se, but that situation of being judged, I was sure I would be judged. Of course, this is my own stuff, but that kept me from doing it. And then a few years later, I found what was then called a correspondence course, because you mailed stuff back and forth. Um, from a very reputable organization that still exists and now has online classes. I won't say who it is, but it was good. But then it's still one-on-one. There's a teacher and you send your stuff and but there was no group. And I learned it was okay. I did that. But when I really started learning, it's also a progression. But little breakthroughs started happening when I joined a led writer's workshop with a facilitator who taught people how to respond to each other's work. So there is no humiliation and there is no fixing. One of the things she would say is, we're not here to fix each other's work. Our work is not broken. I love that. And it's just that you're learning how to give useful feedback about what works and what isn't working, and asking an author what they're trying to do, and maybe that didn't quite work, or maybe it worked great. And also periodic little mini lessons on craft. Not as much of that as I would have liked. I actually do more in my workshops. So, and then that was on steroids when I went for a Master's in Fine Arts program. It was a low residency, but when we were there, you create a community, and you're giving each other feedback and nourishing each other's art. And it's really wonderful. So I just wanted to throw that out to you. I'm also a little bit of self-promotion here, because that's what I do. There's a lot of classes, online classes, that are go at your own speed, self-study. And if that works for you, great. But if you're doing that because you're afraid, I just, want to urge you to consider live, online, small. My classes are limited to 12 people, where you work together. In my beginners classes, we write together prompts and then discuss. And then in more advanced classes, you're actually sharing your work with feedback about how to do that, learning how to respond to each other's work. And when you learn to respond to other people's work, then you learn how to respond to your own work better. Okay, you know what you're looking for. And then I also give quite a bit of craft instruction, not in the form of lecture, just in the form of what arises from people's work. I give little mini craft lectures. So I wanted to just point that out, the differences, and you need to find what works for you or where you are in your stage of development as a writer. But I see so many people on these Facebook groups. There's one fiction group that has 60,000 members. And so many of them are coming in, new people who don't really have no instruction. They haven't taken any classes or done anything. And they're trying to figure stuff out all by themselves. And I'm like, wow, you can do it probably, but wow, It'll take a really, really long time, and you might get frustrated and give up before you get anywhere. So just something to throw out there. And if you'd like to learn more about what I do and how I do it and what I offer, I invite you to visit wingedhorsewritingstudio.com. I actually have some classes coming up, a memoir class and a fiction class coming up in June. So I hope you'll check it out. If you have any questions, you can contact me that way or just comment below. And my name is Pam Sorellis. Thank you. Happy writing.